What if you were to ask me, Ellen, what are the top 5 things that I should know about estate planning that my estate planning attorney maybe hasn't told me about? What should we consider for our own plan? Well, I'm going to give you the inside scoop on what I think are the 5 best planning tools that are often overlooked by estate planning attorneys and that can be very helpful for your planning. So the first planning tool is what we call a Dynasty Trust. This is actually a lifetime trust. This is a trust that's set up for your child or for a beneficiary. They inherit the money into this type of trust and it lasts for the child's lifetime. Well, why do that? That sounds a little bit complicated. Well, there's 3 main reasons why you might want to consider a dynasty trust for your child. The first one, which is the most popular reason for my clients, is it protects from divorce. So let's say your child gets married, they receive an inheritance into a lifetime trust, and then they get divorced. Well, everything in the lifetime trust is not subject to division with the ex-spouse, which is really terrific, okay? The lifetime trust can be used to benefit the entire family, but the underlying assets are kept separate. So happily, your child's inheritance stays intact. Also, if they ever get sued, this has a high level of protection, so the creditors can't go after their inheritance. Also, if you have a taxable estate, or if your child does, if it might be subject to estate tax, anything that goes into the lifetime trust for your child that's free of estate taxes can grow and grow and grow, and then it distributes to their children, to your grandchildren, also free of estate taxes held in the same lifetime trust. So it does multiple generations of estate tax planning, which is really terrific. And that's why these trusts were called dynasty trusts. And that's the name that you'll see most people give them. But I like calling them lifetime trusts because really they're protective over your lifetime. You might also see them called GST trusts. I have a video on dynasty trusts and I go into a lot more detail on that video, so I just suggest you watch that. So that is really the top planning option that I think a lot of people miss, but we have more. Second planning option, and this is for a disabled person or for a family with a disabled child, is the ABLE account. All right, this is a savings account for a disabled child that does not interfere with their public benefits. And there's a lot of great reasons why you should set up an ABLE account. It can receive distributions from anybody, including your child, up to $17,000 a year. That's the amount this year, okay? Now, why might somebody not know of an ABLE account? Well, this only became available in 2015, and California only developed theirs in 2018 or 2019. So it's very, very recent from an estate planning perspective. But you should definitely look into ABLE accounts and whether that might be appropriate for your family. I have 2 videos on ABLE accounts because I like them so much, and I encourage you to watch both of them. Okay, the third planning tool that I think is fabulous is actually related to retirement account planning. So you may have heard a couple years ago, the Secure Act was passed, and that made it much more difficult to leave a retirement account to a child, and that child receives it and stretches out that account and only pays the income tax due on the required minimum distribution calculated based on their lifetime. Well, we used to be able to do that, but in 2020, when a neurotypical child receives an inherited IRA, 401k, then they can't stretch out that benefit anymore. They have to pay all the taxes within 10 years. However, if your child has special needs, they can still stretch this out over their lifetime. Okay, so this is a way of deferring paying tax and letting the principal grow and grow and grow. So I've had a lot of clients who looked at this and said, well, you know, it makes sense from an income tax perspective to leave my retirement accounts to my special needs child and leave other assets to my neurotypical child. So this is a planning option that a lot of people don't know about, but you really should look into. If you have a child with special needs, this is a great way to protect your estate from income taxes upon your death, or at least postpone paying those income taxes. I have a video, by the way, on retirement account planning for those with special needs, and I describe this in more detail, so I suggest you watch that video.
Hey everyone, if you like my mom's video, like and subscribe.
Fourth best kept secret, I think, is a special needs trust. Well, duh. I mean, Ellen, you talk about special needs trusts all the time. What about a special needs trust? Well, I think a special needs trust is a lot more flexible than a lot of people think. Some people really hesitate to set up a special needs trust for their disabled child because they think, oh, all the money is going to be locked up. The child will never be able to benefit from it. They can only use it for food and shelter, or they can't use it for food and shelter, or, there's just a lot of misconceptions on this. And I'm here to tell you that if you draft a special needs trust correctly, that trust can be incredibly flexible. You can change who the successor trustees are. Even if the trust is irrevocable, you can write in that you can make that change, okay? You can add a trust protector who has the ability to remove and replace the trustee. You can give the beneficiary the ability to redirect the money upon their death to whoever they want. So if they get married and they want to leave it to their spouse, or they want to leave it to a charity, they don't have any kids, they can do it. There's so much flexibility in a special needs trust. So I did a video called Special Needs Trust Restrictions, What You Need to Know. And in that video, I really talk about how flexible a special needs trust is. I encourage you to watch that video and to really give a second look to special needs trusts and maybe setting one up for your disabled child. Fifth amazing tool out there is actually a category of people. They're called Private Professional Fiduciaries. If you have a trust or a special needs trust that you're setting up for yourself or for somebody else, and you don't have somebody who can act as successor trustee, or you don't want to impose that on somebody else, maybe you acted as successor trustee before and you know what a pain it is to do this, all right? You don't want to put somebody else through that. You can name a professional individual, a private professional fiduciary who can manage the trust if you're disabled or upon your death, or even just now. I have some clients who have children with mental health challenges and they have a very strained relationship with their child, and they will actually fund a special needs trust during their lifetime and then have a private professional fiduciary managing that special needs trust for the benefit of their child. And now they don't have to deal with managing the money anymore and getting, feeling like that's coming between their relationship with their child. Private fiduciaries can be terrific. Now, also, I think banks can be really good. So I'm not trying to poo-poo any banks, but sometimes banks can be a little bit more expensive. Also, people can see them as being a little bit more cold and detached. So sometimes if you're not ready to name a bank as successor trustee, you can name a private professional fiduciary. And I have a video where I interview a private fiduciary from Sacramento named Shannon, and we talk all about what does a private fiduciary do, why might you want to name one. So it may not be appropriate for you, but I think that private fiduciaries can be great in many different areas and aspects, especially acting as successor trustee when you just don't have the right option. And again, you can build in a trust protector for a trust, so somebody else can remove and replace that fiduciary if you want, so you're not stuck with them. But it can be a really great way of setting up someone who's a professional who knows what they're doing to make sure that your trust is managed properly. So those are the 5 top secret tools that I know of that I think are just terrific in estate planning. And I encourage you to take a look at those videos that I suggested and look into what's going to really help you and your family, and we'll see you soon.
Hello everyone! If you liked my mom's video, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you all next time!